Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have from Abington, Massachusetts, Nicole Asselin. I said it right?
Yep.
Asselin?
Perfect.
She is an author, and this is her first book. I thought she was a kid when she walked in. I'm not going to tell you her age, but I was very much fooled.
Definitely not a kid age. We
I
can go
thought,
with that.
My son is in his 20s, and I thought,
Okay.
she's the same.
No.
That's good. You look great.
It's been a while.
Murder at First Pitch. Where did you get that idea?
Well, it's a great story. My grandfather was a big Red Sox fan, so we grew up as Red Sox fans our entire life. A couple years ago, probably 2016, I went to a conference called Malice Domestic in Bethesda, Maryland, which is, I wanted to do something with my dad, and I was like, let's go to this mystery conference.
Yeah.
Cool. And I sat down at a table and I spoke with Shelley Dixon Carr, who's an author, and I said, she goes, what would you like to write? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, I've never really thought. I was a creative writing concentration in college, so like, I knew I loved to write. And so I said, I'm living in Massachusetts. I live and die by the Red Sox. But there are no really cozy mysteries with a sports theme for us. A lot of crafting, which is cool, and artistic stuff. I was like, but there needs to be something with baseball, because that's what I love. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, ooh, the Red Sox probably wouldn't love it if I murdered somebody at Fenway Park. So I was like, you know what? This is my time to live the dream and make up my own baseball team and how I would run it. So that's kind of where the theme came from. And also, with a cozy, you have to have a little bit of more of an amateur type person. So she's just a regular person who does social media, and her family happens to own a baseball team.
Well, on the back of it, we got a great picture of you too. I love it. I tell other authors, if by any chance there's no picture of you on the back, get one.
Oh, I know.
It's great to know what you look like.
Right.
All right, so you based this. You said your grandpa.
Yep.
32-year-old Madeline Boucher's grandfather instilled a love for the Boston Red Sox. So that's not her, but this is what the story's based on.
Not her.
At an early age, okay. The Abbington Armadillos, is that a real...
It is a fake team, fake name. In this book, it actually does explain why they're called the Armadillos, because I went to school. I know there's no armadillos in Massachusetts, but there is a story, so you'll have to read it to find out.
Madeline is a social media consultant for the team. We're not going to get too much into it. Give us kind of a, without giving away the ending, whet everybody's appetite. What's it about?
So it's about Madeline Boucher, who gets laid off from her corporate job, and so she's like, all right, cool, I guess I'll go back and work for my family. Her family, she thinks they're grooming her brother to be the head of the team when they retire. Circumstances happen, and he gets accused of a murder on her first day back to the ballpark. She finds a dead body in the dugout, as you do, and her brother gets accused. So she, while not actively going against the police, she's kind of investigating in tandem with them to find out what went wrong and who this person is and why is her brother involved and that kind of stuff.
How long did it take you to write it?
This one actually was really easy to write. Probably the first draft came out in 6 months. I did do a lot of rewrites in between, and I ended up switching from first person to third person because I liked Madeline's name and I wanted to say it a lot. I think with it being so close to my heart as the first baseball cozy mystery, I was like, boom, 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 getting it done.
Yeah.
Second one's taken a little bit longer. Same series, but it's a little bit longer trying to write it during work and off work and winter.
So you didn't self-publish. You went to one of the local... Okay. That's because a lot of... some of these little local places are pretty good.
Yeah, it's funny how I got my publisher, Panda Moon Publishing. They're based out of Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And I entered my pitch through a pitch contest on Twitter. It was #PitMad, and you had to, at the time, it was 140 characters, and you had to sell your book. So I think my pitch was, take me out to a murder, will Maddie strike out trying to find the killer? And it kind of, in one of those weird twists of fate, Zara Kramer, who is the owner of Panda Moon, saw my tweet, liked it, requested more pages, then requested the full. And it turns out she's a ginormous Red Sox fan as well. Yeah. So we have that kind of in common. So she was like, oh, I was so excited to read a baseball mystery. And we kind of just hit it off that way. And She was like, I'm getting this book. And I was like, okay, you can have it. And
You've been appearing, you've been doing quite a bit. Where have you been?
all throughout New England. I did Toadstool Bookshop in Nashua, which is where my grandfather's
Is that
from.
pretty cool bookshop? I've
Oh
heard
my
about
God,
it.
it's gorgeous. They just moved to a new location and it's huge, big ceilings, everything. All my cousins came out, all my grandfather's sister, and all his nieces and nephews, which was pretty cool. I did the Abbington Public Library, which is where I live, and obviously where I named the book.
Yeah.
And that was such an amazing event, just to have. I worked at the library all 4 years in college, so I love a library.
Speaking of that, she has got a dress on. Where did you find that dress?
There is an amazing company called Savaha USA,
Yeah.
SVAHA, and
Yeah.
it's online, and they do what I call nerd dresses. So they have a bunch of literature. I have probably all their literature dresses. This one, there's a Librarian's Secret Society. There's a Jane Austen one that I just bought.
Well, this one has kitty cats
typewriters,
books all over
and
it.
I have 3 cats. So when I saw this one, I was like, well, I have to buy that. I have cats and books.
Now, you did it online. You bought it. Okay, I don't know. A lot of the girls get their clothes. How the heck do you get something online and know if it's going to fit?
You don't.
I don't like that.
I've been buying from them probably for a year now, so
Yeah.
I know my size,
Yeah.
and so now I just
Oh,
know I
you're
buy
all
that
okay.
size.
You're all
Yeah,
okay.
but I think they're really good. I think they're still a small company, and I think they're really good with returns and stuff. So I highly, I tout them to the high heavens because I love them. And if you're a scientist, they have so many science dresses. I'm not, but they have a lot of reading dresses too.
So when you graduated high school, you went to Curry?
Yep,
From
Curry
there, what
College.
did you major in?
I majored in English with a
Of course.
with a creative writing concentration and a minor in dance.
Dance.
Yes.
So do you dance now?
I don't as much as I want to.
Really?
Yeah, it's with work full time. It's hard, but I still go back. We've done a couple of alumni performances with the girls that I used to dance with at Curry, and I still go to the Boston Ballet as much as possible. Another idea of another series in my head is a dance teacher.
Ballet.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
right.
and it was I just haven't. I'm still focusing on baseball first, I think, and then I'll move into the.
All right, who
ballet.
did the cover? I mean, you know.
Yep.
that's Cool. Did you design it?
I did not. Pandamoon Publishing, Don Kramer is the artist who does all their graphics.
Okay, and you like
covers.
You're lucky.
He sent me, this is actually the first cover he sent me, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, obsessed. It was a little darker at the time, and I said, the only change I have is maybe lightening up. It's not so much Breaking Bad, it's more like Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
let's lighten up the colors. But the first picture, I was like, sold. You had me, and
Yeah.
I had it. I put it on cakes. I've put it on clothes. I put it on postcards. I love it so much.
I know a lot of the authors, well, I say, you know, if you've self-published, you've got control over that cover.
Yeah.
You got lucky, though.
Yeah.
They were able to give you something you liked.
And I think that's the benefit of working with a smaller publisher. You're not working with a big 5 where it's farmed out. And so they're a very family-oriented company. And before we even did the cover, he sends you a questionnaire, and he's like, what are 5 covers you love?
Okay.
What are 5 you hate? You know, what colors do you want to have as a theme? All this kind of stuff. And I think he's I didn't have any problems, so I don't know if it would be different if I was like, I hate it. But he
I
was,
like it.
yeah, and we do everything through email, and this we have a instant messaging system, so it's all very instantaneous
Yeah.
communications, which is super cool.
Is it a foul ball or foul play? Ooh,
that was Zara that came up with that.
Ooh,
the
oh.
publisher, the owner of the publishing company.
So now you have a whole different job, like for what is it, for insurance?
Healthcare. Yep.
And you're doing the business work for that.
Yep.
It doesn't bother you to sit still all day.
No, in fact, I love it. I think being a writer, I love to read, I love to write, and I love to just be. So I think that sitting and writing, the hard part is switching the fiction brain at the
Yeah.
end of the day. So I tend to do more of my fiction writing on the weekends, going to a library where it's quiet and just, or Panera where it's not quiet, but for
No,
some reason
I
I get a
can't-
lot of writing there.
Over there. It's one in Westbrook. Forget it.
Yeah, no,
I can hardly hear the person I'm with.
That's why I write by myself
Yeah.
at Panera. And then I usually give myself a treat. I'll say, oh, if you finish 1,000 words today, you'll get a delicious cinnamon roll. And I'm like, okay.
Do you write or do you do it on the computer?
Computer.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of both, actually. I was doing an event 2 weeks ago at Tatnut Booksellers
Yeah.
in Westboro,
Yeah.
which is another great store. And it it was a little slower. It was a little rainy. So while I was waiting, I just had my notebook out and was jotting some notes. Yeah.
Though I know in Tatton, gosh, talked about it so many times, you can either sit up, you're closer to the front, or if you're up to giving a nice presentation and the book signing, go out to the big room, the big kids room.
I was in the front. I was with the I was gonna say receptionists, the cashiers.
Yeah.
And talking with them a lot too. So it was very upfront and in your face when you walked in.
Nicole, how could they get a copy of Murder at First Pitch?
Well, Amazon. It's obviously, if you have Prime, you can get it in one day or 2 days, depending where you're at. And you can search by my name or by the title. You can also, if you're a Barnes & Noble fan, you can go in and order it from them, and they can ship it to your store. Or you can order it online at barnesandnoble.com or your favorite independent bookstore, which I personally obviously love.
Yeah.
If you are in the areas, there's a couple copies at Titcomb's Booksellers in Sandwich, Massachusetts, which is another great local store. For those in Connecticut, it's at Bank Square Books in Mystic, Connecticut, right across from Mystic Pizza.
Yeah.
Which is delicious. I had it for the first time this year. Loved it.
What is it again? It's the pizza?
The pizza, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Bank Square Books is the bookstore down there. And then I think I have copies at the New England Mobile Book Fair in Newton as well.
Have you been up to Boston in any of the... What is Porter Square?
I went to, first time I went to Brookline Booksmith to just be there, and I was like, this bookstore is great. But I haven't gone into town as much. Yeah.
What's coming up for you?
This weekend, Saturday, depending on when this goes out, February 15th, I'll be at the local authors fair in Cumberland, Rhode Island, with a bunch of other Sisters in Crime and Mystery Writers of America authors. I think they have like 60 coming. And apparently I learned that the library is an old monastery, so that's the coolest
You know what
thing
you would
ever.
love? Okay, if you like being in a big group like that,
Yes.
every December in, I think it's Cranston, Rhode Island,
Okay.
they have the Rhode Island Authors Expo.
Ooh.
And there are like a couple hundred authors in
Oh,
there.
that's going to be
And
great.
yeah. You could go down an aisle and spend one afternoon in one aisle.
I would buy so
You
much.
probably would love it. I know the head of it, the director of it.
Okay.
And he also has a publishing house in in Providence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. I think you'd love that if you like.
Yeah,
if
I
you
love
like
it. I love an author event. In March 28th, I'll be in New London at a similar
You got
book
in Connecticut,
event.
down in Connecticut.
Down in Connecticut. I was actually born in Groton, so that's kind of
Oh.
like
That's near Miss.
sub-base. Yep.
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 Okay,
Right down
so-
the street, 20 minutes probably.
Do you go alone, or can your parents come with you?
I go alone for a lot of stuff. If it's close to the Cape, my mom might come out.
Yeah.
My dad lives in DC, but he will come up for Groton events. He works with the Navy, so he's like, oh, I can kill two birds with one stone and go to do some work and then come see your book stuff. So that's kind of nice. And in April, for National Library Week, which I believe is the 19th, the week of the 19th, I'm going to be back at Curry College doing an event. We just started talking about it today, so I'm very excited.
a lot of
about
authors say, "Well, Jan, why would you want to send me to a fair, a craft fair?" Oh yeah,
Oh.
because you know what? An author's going to stand out in that.
I went to my first book sale in October. Was at a craft fair in Abington. I was like, guys, I'm like, this is perfect. And just having people come up who are like, I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah.
I can picture where the town, I can picture Island Grove where the climactic scene happens. And at the Abington Library event, a gentleman said, did you know we actually had a team back in the 40s? And I was like, I did not. I should have probably done more research.
Yeah.
And he said it was actually, he thinks it was the Abington Eskimos. And I said, well, then I don't feel as bad calling them the Armadillos because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
I
Eskimos
never would have
in
thought of that.
Abington.
No.
So I'm gonna, one of these days I'm gonna get to the Historical Society and see if they have any cool, and maybe put that into book 3 a little bit.
We are
as
talking
well.
with Nicole Asselin, and she is the Murder at First Pitch author. And you can also go downstairs to the Upton Library, pick up a copy in the dedicated authors section. Did you see that? Did you come in?
I did. I did some writing in that back room, and I was staring at all the authors. I was like, okay, my
Those
book will
authors
be there.
have been on the show.
Yes.
That's not, but that's probably a quarter of the authors.
That's
you know,
awesome.
because there's so many of
Yeah.
them. There really are. But I love to have them on. Everybody's got a different flavor in that
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
They really do. Did you have any idea, or after college, what did you do?
student loans. I worked, and then I got into defense contracting down in DC. I was there for 8 years. Followed my dad retired from the Navy, and then we all followed in. So my whole family ended up down in defense contracting, and now my brother works for the Navy still, and my dad works for the Navy, and my mom lucky gets to retire.
So you were the Navy brat, right?
I was the Navy brat. Mm-hmm.
So where else?
21 years. We did 9 years in Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, which I know people are like, that's a landlocked state. There's actually a supply depot there, which is where my dad was a supply officer. Born in Groton, did a little in Tennessee, Jacksonville, Florida, Monterey, California, which was gorgeous, Hawaii, because Hawaii. I was like first grade in Hawaii, and just it was every Sunday going to Waikiki Beach was
You loved it.
super awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Yeah,
That's a
twice
lot.
in Pennsylvania, and then Athens, Georgia. My brother was born there, so he's the
Is he
southerner.
your baby brother?
He's my baby brother. He's 33. He's my baby brother.
Well, was it hard to go from all these different places? You lose your friend at each one. Right?
Yeah, it was tough. I think at the time it was tougher. Looking back now, I love it so much more. Although I feel myself now every couple of years like, okay, ready to move, which is harder when you have a mortgage and you have to like live in your house. Mm-hmm. But I think me and my brother, we were kind of each other's. And I think also if you lived on base, you kind of had a built-in.
Yeah.
You had a bunch of other Navy brats. In Pennsylvania, we lived in a big apartment complex called Z Quarters, and we were friends with each other. And it was harder in Florida. We moved down to Florida, and it was year-round schools.
What
we
town in Florida?
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yep, right off Atlantic Boulevard.
Was it closer to Boca Raton or to Delray? Which side?
I don't know. We
Was
were
it-
close to St. Augustine. It was like right on the water there. Mayport was the Navy base.
I know we went down when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
I can't. The girls do the water ski shows.
Oh, okay. No, we weren't. I don't think we
Fort
were near.
Lauderdale.
Yeah, we were way far from that.
You were further
probably
up,
like
yeah.
up. We were like almost Georgia.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
You did.
So it was like northern Florida.
This is her first book,
It is.
Murder at First Pitch. And
So
have you
exciting.
begun the second one?
I have. I have about 5,000 words left. So like I'm hoping it's going to be out during baseball season this year. This one came out in September. So a little after, and of course the Red Sox decided not to get the playoffs this year, so our season ended earlier. Luckily living in, having friends in DC, they won the World Series. So I had a lot of friends who are still in the baseball mode in October down there. So hopefully this year the Red Sox will push it to October. So if the book comes out a little later.
Yeah.
we
How many
can
are going to be
get
in
it
this the baseball series?
I'm contracted for 3, and I have 3 ideas, or I have the third idea. And if I get some inspiration, there might be more, hopefully.
You're contracted? Boy, that would drive me crazy.
I mean, I think it's a 5-year contract with,
Yeah, okay.
we want to get 3 done, and
I
I'm
thought
like,
they were
I
going to push you to
understand.
do it in a year. And
No. Luckily, knock on wood, they've been very supportive with deadlines, and I think since this one just came out, they're not too pushing it on the deadlines yet.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm pushing on the deadlines for myself.
When
I'm
do
like,
you write at night or when do you-
weekends.
Yeah.
Weekends is mainly when I can get it done. Holidays, when I'm not at my desk at work, chained to my desk. I knew I had the second book came from a short story that I wrote with the same characters. So now it's just stretching
Okay.
the short story.
5,000 words left to go, right?
Yeah, so
How many
close.
words are in this one? Oh, I should
I-
look at the.
It's 188 pages,
Yeah.
and I think it's about 66,000 words or so.
We're good.
Maybe 68,000.
Yeah. This is about I love reading about the author.
Yeah.
You're now working just outside of Boston.
In Quincy.
So you live in Abington.
Yep.
That's a sleepy town, like with Rockland, right?
Yeah, it's like it's right below Weymouth, which is a little bit more active, and real close to Brockton, which obviously is very active.
I lived there. I lived in Bridgewater.
Okay, yeah,
I
so
know
you're a
everything.
South Shore girl, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of.
It was one of the many. I don't know how many moves I've made in
Yeah.
my life. I've
Oh,
lost
wow.
count, really.
Yeah.
I mean, not just with my father for us to go in, but on my own. I was like a gypsy.
Yep. That's how I feel as a Navy brat sometimes. You're like, I'm ready to, after every 2 years, you're like, okay, it's time to move. Like,
Did it happen every 2
but
years?
it's pretty much. I mean, I think Monterey was 18 months. Hawaii was like 3 years. When we got into high school, I wanted to stay in Pennsylvania, so I was like, I'm not moving, I'm not doing it. So my dad ended up working during the week in Norfolk, Virginia, and would come home on the weekends to Pennsylvania, like
He
a
did that
6-hour
for
flight.
you.
Yeah, I know. He was a good guy.
Oh, that was so...
Love you, Dad.
What is your brother doing now?
He works for the Navy. He as a civilian.
He's a civilian.
He's a finance guy. He's got the math gene that I did not get.
Well, you must have been if you're doing that healthcare thing, right?
Yeah, luckily it's all the writing. I don't have to do any of the math work. Although every time we have a meeting and they're like, "Oh, do this, that," and I was like, "You told me there'd be no math. This is an English major job. I don't want to do the math part." So they know it's not math.
You were the other place you were was 8 years.
Yeah, in DC it was like 4 different companies, but 8 years.
8 years,
in DC.
and you've been with this one how long?
About a year and a half.
You like it?
Yeah, it's nice. It's a
Do
good
they know
group.
you're an author?
They do. They're
do you have a
very
book display
supportive.
there?
I don't.
No.
Sort of. I call my wall of victory, and so I have a couple of ballet things there, and then I have the librarian at the Abbington Library sent me a lovely note, so I popped that on the wall, and a couple of my swag pieces. But before the book came out, I was handing out bookmarks down the row, and it was really just to my team, and then they told other people who then told other people. So I'd go to meetings and they're like, "I want to buy a book." And I'm like, "Please do." I was like, "Here's my Venmo, here's all my info, I'll bring it right to you and sign it." So yeah, if you want a signed book, you can email me and we can Venmo or, figure that kind of stuff
Abington Library is open to authors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've heard about them.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah, some libraries don't.
They're closed for a week starting next week because they're getting new carpet, which is very exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so don't call them next week.
Don't call them.
But their Rockland is helping them out with everything.
Is there a Rockland library?
Yeah, it's a beautiful old building right in downtown Rockland.
Okay.
I haven't gone there yet, or to talk or anything, but I've been there for book sales and stuff like that, and I love it.
What's your favorite bookstore to go to when you're
As a book buyer, a buyer of many books, I love An Unlikely Story in Plainville, by Jeff Kinney, because it's an old railroad station and it's just really comfortable, and might even stop there on the way home.
How are these people in advertising? I know Tatnet gets the word out in the newspaper.
Yeah.
How are these other places?
I haven't done anything with An Unlikely Story or Titcombs, but with Bank Square and with Toadstool and with Tatnuck, they all send you, they put a Facebook event out, which is great, or on their Twitter, and then I just send it out to everybody. And it's a benefit of being the Sisters in Crime New England social media person, because then I can advertise on the Sisters in Crime site.
Now, don't they have I've heard of this group. Are they based up here somewhere?
Group. They have, we don't have a home location. We Sisters in Crime is kind of just all over New England. There's a national organization and then a chapter, and I think New England was the second largest chapter after Los Angeles.
Where are they based?
We don't even have a home. We just kind of go places and do. We have a website, sincne.org.
Are they mostly New England from around?
This is for our chapter. It's all New England, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine.
So they who tells you girls where you're going to go? Though?
Well, we have a speakers bureau, and you can, if you're a library, or a bookstore, or a senior center, or any really organization, you can email our speakers bureau, who's at the moment Leslie Wheeler, who's another great author, and we have a couple of panels that we do. We have mystery making, which is like an improv kind of thing, a pathways to publication, and we will go anywhere and do anything. And I think actually the Rhode Island Expo this weekend, we have a pretty big contingent going down.
You have another one? Oh.
This is the author in Cumberland.
Okay, yeah, that big beautiful.
Yeah, at the monastery. That's now a library. So they have a pretty big contingent of sisters and misters. We're not just ladies. And yeah, so we kind of just do that. We have a conference that we do every year called the New England Crime Bake with Mystery Writers of America. We kind of partner with them for that. And
I think I know. Do you know the author Glenn Ickler? He's an older gentleman. He writes Martha's Vineyard Mysteries.
Okay.
And he's met the Clam Bake. Don't they have that on Martha's Vineyard?
We have the Crime Bake in Woburn, and then there's a main Crime Wave, I believe, in June, and then we're starting to get more into the islands. We're going to go within Nantucket, and they have a literary festival, I think, coming up. So our current president, Connie Hambley, who is another author, she is trying to get our outreach to a lot of these events, new light, because there's every year there's a new literary event, and we want to be a part of them all.
That's why I think you'd love that Rhode Island Expo every December in Cranston.
Okay.
It's called the huge building, Rhodes on the Pawtucket.
Oh.
And you go in there, and it's like, I was overwhelmed. And I talked with one of the authors. She said she was overwhelmed.
Oh, wow, that's
This
a lot.
is walled. And they also have like seminars up to the side.
Okay.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did not get to meet every single one.
No,
way.
That's like this. I think the one on Saturday in Cumberland is going to be great because I think it's like 50 or 60, so you're not completely overwhelmed. And Stop and Shop's bringing us some food and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's nice.
All right. Well, we've been talking with Nicole Asselin. We're going to sign off. Her book again is Murder at First Pitch. This is her first book.
Yes.
Catch it downstairs in the library. And also, one more time, how can they get it?
You can get it on Amazon. You can search Murder at First Pitch. It's the only one with that title, by my name, Nicole Asselin. Where else? Barnes & Noble. You can order it through your independent bookseller. And if you are local, New England Mobile Book Fair, Tatnook. Oh, no, they don't have any, sorry. You can order from them, though. Titcombs in Sandwich, Mass. And Bank Square Books in Mystic.
She's going places.
I'm trying.
For a first-time author, you are.
This is so
energized.
fun. I love this.
Well, I think you found your niche.
I do. I love it. I love talking about myself. So
That's okay. No, that's good. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And let me know when the next one comes around.
for sure.
All right.
For sure.
Okay, we'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems. Moving through the cloud